Rudy in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Rudy, what's on your mind today?
Hey, good day, Tom. How you doing?
Good.
This is why I love this show, man. I've been following you a while. It's my first time ever getting to speak to you, but you know, when I listen to you, you really try to speak to the humanity, to the spirit of people, and how we should act amongst each other. And you know, when I look at what the president is going through, being a black man, pressure is something that a black man wears every day he wakes up. So I don't think the pressure bothers him. I think he's going to, if anything, I worry about how this is going to affect the future of white America and how history is written and how this man was actually treated in later on in the future, because it's going to speak to racism. A black man has a different perspective, and it's something that a white person would never, ever be able to experience. So, you know, when I listen to you, when you really try to connect to your listeners, I hear that you have an understanding of what I'm trying to say, and that I think that white people as a whole, if they don't try to talk to other white people that don't understand what you are saying, it's putting the white people in a precarious situation, because I think later on in life there's going to have to be some explaining to do to the future.
Yeah. Yeah, Rudy, I gotta tell you, I spent the first 50 years of my life largely, in white neighborhoods, working in largely white companies. And it wasn't until we moved to Washington, D.C. Well, really, it wasn't until I started doing this show and interacting with callers of color. And over the years, I've had friends who are black, but we just never talk about race. I mean, I never, and I didn't understand personally, and I think I'm a pretty insightful guy. I didn't understand that one of the most important and powerful pieces of white privilege is that white people don't have to wonder every time something happens, like, they don't get a seat in the restaurant where they want to sit, or the taxi doesn't pick them up, or anything, didn't get that apartment, didn't get that job. Is that because of my race? White people never think about that, and that's the biggest part of white privilege. I mean, it's like being able to go through life and never wonder. And it's like, right. I'm telling you, Rudy, 95% of white people have no idea what I'm talking about.
I know, and that's why when I listen to you, I hear what you're saying, because it's something that they're taking for granted right now. Yeah. Right now. Because you have to understand, in history right now, we're at a serious curve in history. If we're not paying attention as to how we treat each other, these things that are going on right now are going to come back to haunt us.
Yeah. Well, I think the same way that, Reagan making his first speech when he was running for president in Philadelphia, Mississippi, shouting out to the white racists. And this was collecting this was closing the circle from LBJ signing the Civil Rights Act and basically giving away the Democratic Party in the South for a generation, to quote LBJ. That was Reagan saying, okay, we're going to pick up the deal in full. And what has happened since then is that the white racists and the white power movement and the groups over at these right-wing message boards like Stormfront.org and whatnot, and the groups that are tracked by the Southern Poverty Law Center, they have become so empowered that they are a significant portion of the Tea Party. They're a significant factor. I mean, they're a factor that can turn an election in the Republican Party and in the Republican primaries. And I mean, just look at what happened with Chris McDaniels. You got the entire Republican Party right now going ballistic because Thad Cochran dared to reach out to black Democrats to vote for him, or even black Republicans. And go ahead.
Because I'm listening to what you're saying, and because, see, the scariest part of what you're saying is when people start understanding the truth about American history, this is when evolution really starts to take hold. This is when things start to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And I mean, please, Mr. Hartmann, just keep doing what you're doing, because, you know, I want my white brothers and sisters to understand that things will not be like this forever. I mean, things change.
Yeah. Well, and America is.
Understand. I mean, well, America's going to be fine because we do have the ability to make the changes that need to be changed, and I have that hope. Yeah. I really believe that we will make that change. Now, I don't know if it'll come in my lifetime, or hopefully it'll come in my kids' lifetime.
Right.
But you know, we have to continue to treat each other right, with respect, and try to do the right things by each other, because if we don't do what's right today, these same things will come back to haunt us tomorrow, and that goes for all of mankind.
It's sow the wind, reap the whirlwind. I mean, it's right out of Ecclesiastes, as I recall. And this is why, when Bob Ney said that John Boehner is not specifying executive orders, which would be, the overreach that a president would do. He's not specifying that. He's simply saying the president is illegitimately using his powers. It's like the word illegitimately just exploded in my head. I mean, it was like, oh my God. First it was he's not legitimately, qualified to be president of the United States because he's black.
Well, the Republicans, what they're going to eventually do is they're going to drown themselves. I really believe between now and probably the time, if Hillary gets into the White House, which I believe she will, because she's probably the most qualified person amongst both parties. But Republicans are putting themselves in such a bad position amongst women, amongst other groups of minorities, to where they're almost betting against time, betting that people will not catch up to what they're actually doing.
Well, and then they've got voter suppression strategies to keep young people, people of color, and old people from voting. Yeah. I mean, it's go ahead.
They're taking they are taking a serious gamble.
Yeah,
they're taking a serious gamble, and I really believe, because I see this happening. I see, I'm a truck driver, so I come in contact with a lot of different people.
Yeah,
and I see that the younger white generation, they are so much more inclusive as how they handle each other and minorities. It's more of a friendly situation versus an older white person. So
yep.
I just keep putting the word, just keep doing what you're doing, because we are listening to you.
Okay.
I appreciate you.
Rudy, thank you so much.